All right, so had the live podcast event, first one. It was amazing. It was amazing. Okay, here was my biggest takeaway from the entire event, and I want Zach to chime in if he so felt led to. Okay, I think it is incredible when we can do things where we go off the internet and in person. It does two things. One, for the people watching, it's almost like we're just avatars. Like it's just a thing. It's another thing you see on a screen. The flip side is creators will often see the people as just a means to an end.
And that's where I live. I mean, not the means the end, but like I get chronic numbers brain.
Yeah.
You know me. It's just like
so,
okay,
yes.
the viewership's down.
Yes.
I'm like the executive at CBS in the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying?
And so doing an event that was 100% not economical on paper.
Not at all.
We ran the numbers and we're like, wow.
It was comical.
It was bad. It was bad how not economical this event was.
Sometimes they say we're not a nonprofit.
How
Saturday we were a nonprofit.
We were a nonprofit. It was and we charged. So imagine if we didn't charge. Like it just would have been a massive L.
And we got some pushback of people in the back end support being like, how it doesn't feel right that you're charging for this and profiting off of events. Like,
people have no idea what it takes to put together an event, let alone an event where there's people from out of state, where there's
we've had people that are out of town.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, creators will just see numbers on a screen, right? They'll just see numbers on a screen and they'll think it's just more numbers means more AdSense, means more clout, means whatever. And that's not good either. Right? Because there's 346 people out here. That's 346 souls right now that we're talking to, right? And so...
Ben, you're not a number.
Yeah.
Ben, I meant in real life. I'm saying I have a numbers problem. It's a creator thing. It's exactly what we're talking about right now.
It's a creator thing. It's so it becomes this bizarre symbiotic relationship. What do they call it?
Parasocial.
Parasocial relationship. I love meeting people. Like I was the guy that when we were doing Christian hip hop and I'd open up for Lecrae or something like that, like I would be the guy meeting every single person at the merch table. True. Every single person stood there, and sometimes it'd be hundreds of people that I would personally meet and talk to. So I enjoy meeting people because I think it helps me to be humble about stuff. And then two, it helps the people to demystify and there not be any weird looking up to me like I'm some sort of like saint or something, right? And then at this event, it's no different. I sat and I met every single person that I could meet. At one point in the night, there was a gentleman who I sat down with, and he walks up to me. He's just weeping. He's just crying.
Oh man,
he's crying, bro. Like it's real for him. Okay, and he can't even get a word out. And so I'm like, all right, let's sit down. So we sit down and we start talking. And he tells me that a few weeks ago he reevaluated all of his investments and what he's been investing because he felt like what he's been investing was a bigger asset to his family than if he were on Earth today. And so he's doing the calculations, and he's like, if I'm gone, then like my wife can cash this out, and she'll be better off without me.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is like recent, he's doing the math on this. And I'm sitting there like, okay. And he said like, but after this event and like getting to see you guys in person and getting to talk to people in person, this is the first time in a long time where I'm actually taking my mental health seriously. And I haven't been going to church. I haven't been reading my Bible. Me and my wife have been going through it. And like this was the experience I needed to have to catapult me to get help, right? Like to get help. And so I gave him my therapist's number, and we I got the privilege to pray for him. And
I did see that.
And
this is a verifiable story. I just didn't hear everything.
Yeah, and he was crying because what he was trying to say is like, after this event, like now I'm thinking about like how do I get treatment so that I can start so that the money that I was thinking about leaving behind my wife, we can actually rack that up and we can buy a house. Like now I'm trying to do the math to calculate on what it would take for us to buy a house, right? And I know it's like, oh, like Ruslan, like Fresh and Fit thinks they like save lives, right? like you know, it's that moment where they're like, I'd rather, you know, I love saving kids, but I much rather love saving you. The difference is, it's not us doing the saving. the difference is it's not me
Yep.
doing any of this. Like the difference is that what this event was and what we do is anchored on the gospel of Jesus, and it's Jesus just using people as vessels to draw people onto themselves. And it's not in a cathartic man with the ether. And it's not in a cathartic sense of like, oh, you dunked on this group,
So I feel good about
so
myself.
I
now.
feel
Yeah.
better about myself. This is the first time that all of this clicked in a way where I see a pathway and hope in a tangible, practical sense of like being built for more and having more to what this is. And that was the most like extreme version of that, right? Was that like that encounter. But there was multiple people that came up to me and multiple people that I talked to that were like impacted in a very, 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 very real way. And at the end of the night, people were like Pastor Jeff was asking me and George was asking me, and we were kind of talking. And I said, the event, what it did for me is that it gave me of when the children of Israel had the Ark of the Covenant, and they're like being flippant with the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Right? They're being flippant with the Ark of the Covenant, and they're touching it and they're tampering it, and then they're like dropping dead.
This is great.
Right? And when you are helping people, but specifically with the gospel, it gave me this like reverence and fear of God. Like what we do matters.
So no more video game streams with Chris.
No, I don't mind video game streams. Those are fun too. Chris is like, what are you guys talking about? Like what we do matters, and it's like
that's facts. That's crazy.
Like there's a seriousness to all of it that's way deeper than just like content or writing a book or like
parallel.
Dunking on the libs. Like, don't be flippant with this stuff. Like, this is not just numbers on a screen. This isn't just like a cool thing to do. This actually has impact on people, and not just impact on people, but impact on people that points them to Jesus and moves the needle in their life. Right? Moves the needle in their life. Because you can move the needle in people's lives. You can move the needles in people's lives with just fitness. Like, that moves the needle in people's lives. A lot of people that were like, yo, I was overweight and then I started working out, now I feel great, and then that becomes their religion.
Oof.
You know, you can move the needle with dunking on the libs, or dunking on modern women, or dunking on, right? Like, figure it out. You could, dunking on the radical left. Like, you could do that. But when people are like, hey, I did not have clarity, and this moment resolved something for me, and now I have clarity, and I can go back into my life, and I can do things that just has a piece to it that I wasn't able to process before. And I think you can't really do that through the internet. Like I'm not trying to minimize that, right? Like we can and we do, but when you're doing it in a way where like it's in person and it's tangible, and there's opportunities for something as simple as like laying your hands and praying for somebody. It's just different, man.
Totally.
And the conversation we kept having behind the scenes is like, hey, like this doesn't have to make sense financially.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if this doesn't make sense financially. It doesn't have to make sense financially.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, let's pour everything we have into this event, and let's make it as excellent as possible, and let's under promise and over deliver, and let's give people real tangible steps that will hopefully propel them to walk out the work that God is doing in them, right? And redeem some of those qualities that, like, yo, we talk about all the ambition and financial literacy and health and fitness and all these things that like is that's what the world wants.
Yep.
Right. But they're just completely going about it the wrong way with the wrong motives. Right. And like, how do we reconcile that? And ultimately, how do we reconcile people's desire to do something with their life, to do something that's bigger than them? You know,
that's amazing. It's wild because it feels like the event was structured in a way to achieve that. Like that was calculated, but there's only so many calculations we can do. You know, like there's only so many calculations you can do formatting the panels. A lot of it too is like creating a space for people that haven't been in church for months.
And there was a lot of folks like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that hadn't been to a church in months.
That's crazy.
There was folks that we hired to do various tasks that were not Christian.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they were like, I needed this,
Yeah.
you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of different things. Men said this event was absolutely an answer to my prayer. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, so like we want to do these in person. We have no idea how they will make sense financially yet.
Yeah, we're brainstorming that because we want to do another one maybe in another 6 months or so. Or...
Like Ben was there, and the biggest L of the event. Let's be honest. Let's be vulnerable for a minute.
Let's be vulnerable.
The biggest L of the event was the food.
Yeah, but unpack that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're doing an event like this, there's a lot of expenses. Okay. There's a lot of expenses, a lot of overhead, right? There's Ryan Horton flying in to lead worship, right? There's making sure you're compensating the tech team. There's making sure you have security so that like if something crazy goes down, there's something like that go down. Some of you guys are like, you're covered by the armor of the Lord. Yeah. And like school are a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Church.
Like I don't have my conceal and carry yet, you know? So we're going to be wise. So there's like a gang of expenses that go into stuff like this. And so in our attempt to keep our overhead down, we ended up partnering with Chick-fil-A, which was great. They donated 100 sandwiches, and then we got some catering from them. And then we're like, yo, we'll have a food truck during the intermission.
Yeah.
You know? And so basically what ended up happening was Chick-fil-A had an issue with running my card for the food, and they didn't send the food with your dad. Like your dad, this is how bootstrapped this is.
My
by the way.
dad I asked my dad to volunteer.
You didn't. Yeah, you asked your dad to volunteer. Like
Yeah,
we need
and
to
he's like,
volunteer.
yeah, I got you. So he picked up the food, and my dad did check-in.
And they only
So
gave
if
him
you guys,
half of
if
the
you met
food.
the guy at check-in, it was my dad.
Yeah, and they only gave him half of the food. So the half of the food is delivered, and the other half is not there. And there's like 70 people here for this VIP lunch.
Bro, more than half of the people were in VIP.
Yeah. And so Chick-fil-A, kudos to Chick-fil-A, had to run the food over, but then we started late. And then the intermission, we're like, yo, 2 food trucks, dope. This is going to be sick.
Yep.
One of the food trucks cancels the day of. Another food truck shows up late to the intermission and gets stuck in the parking lot.
How do you get stuck in a parking lot?
They couldn't make it through around the parking lot because I didn't know where to set them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So thankfully, right on the street, a couple cars moved, but then they couldn't back up into the street.
Oh my god.
And so they didn't end up setting up for like 20 minutes. And it's a bomb food truck. And I'm sitting there like, yo, this is such an L for food.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like because like we didn't have the money to just hire a catering company.
Yeah.
You know, like just hire and that's one of the things that we know, like, yo, next time.
Or an event planner.
Or an event planner.
Any of it.
Any of it. So next time we know we got to get an event planner. And we definitely got to hire a catering company to do the VIP food.
We were joking that we had Ray at the end. It was like, hey man, everyone have a great night. If you want to hang around and help us strike some chairs,
help us put chairs away for Sunday morning.
We're like, hey, it's got a nice little mom and pop charm to our event. But the next one, we would hope to like figure these things out a little bit better. Yeah, we thought it was gonna be that we could throw the event fairly cheap, and
we did.
No, we did it fairly.
All things considered.
All things considered, like considering how awesome the event was.
Yeah.
And like a lot of it just being a great time, but it still was like a break even situation.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, interesting.
Hey, this is a segment from our daily after party stream. Consider partnering with us online for as little as $5 a month to get access to these daily after party streams completely unedited. You'll also get access to our podcast as they are streamed live into the community before anyone else gets to see them, get to interact with our guests, get access to our private Discord server, and a discount code for our store for as little as $5 a month. Ultimately, that will help towards helping us continue contextualizing the gospel using media and podcast here on YouTube. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.